Namaskar. Welcome to Conversations with Rakesh. Here's today's question. Sir, I was working in a mid sized Indian company for the last 7 years. I'm now joining a large MNC with offices in almost every country next month. While I'm very excited, I'm also a bit nervous. In my previous company, everyone knew me and my work was appreciated. But here I have to start from a scratch all over again. How do I impress them and carve a place for myself? Any tips? What a delightful question. Thank you for asking. It reminds me of my own journey when I left three companies, actually four. My first company was Wipro, then I went to Intel, then I went to Qualcomm, and then I left it all to become a person who worked in academic institutions. So I think I have transitioned from companies so I can understand your question a lot well because when I was moving from I think Intel to Qualcomm, at Intel I had the same situation as you. I was there for about 7 years, very popular. Everyone knew me. And when I went to Qualcomm, I was very nervous that will people like me? How will I impress them? So let me break the question into two parts because it's important for you to understand the difference in these two parts. The first is, I think, please remember that if this company has given you an offer, they are already impressed by you. So you don't have to work too hard to impress them. If your candidature was not good, they wouldn't have hired you. So don't forget that. And please don't try and impress people because it's a very tiresome process. In the early part of our careers, we do have a need to impress people, but after a point, it will tire you. It will also damage your self esteem because you suddenly lose connection with yourself. You start pleasing people all the time, and in that pleasing people and impressing them, sometimes you do things you don't want to do which might impact your self-confidence and self-esteem. So remember, congratulate yourself that you have got a good offer from a large MNC with offices all over the world. They like you, they are impressed with you, so don't work too hard in impressing them all over again. All right, so that is step number one. Now let's look at the other part of your question, which is something that we don't talk about. Whenever we leave one place to the other place, like we leave from a town to a city or one city to the other city, college to corporate, schools to colleges, even new relationships like a marriage and going to a new home, shifting places, it's a very important part of our life. It's a change of a place and a culture. And this is called a culture shock. And we should talk about culture shocks because we are familiar with a certain set of company or a city that we are living in. Now we are going to a new place. We have no idea what it is. And that newness and the unfamiliarity of that terrain can be very, very scary. And it can shock you, and it was beautifully captured in this movie called Lost in Translation. A lovely movie, comical movie at times, but captures how a city can alienate people. So there is a Scarlett Johansson as one character and Bill Murray as another character, and they both are in Japan, Tokyo, in one of the tallest five-star hotels. Everything is perfect, but they're lost. They are lonely. They are sad. The culture is new for them. This is the first time they are in Tokyo, and both of them have different lives. And there's this funny scene of Bill Murray. Bill Murray is this actor from America, very super duper popular actor in America. And in Japan, he's supposed to shoot a commercial for a whiskey, Sundry whiskey. So Bill Murray is all set and he's dressed up in dress, coat, pant, and he's supposed to be in this commercial. And the director of that commercial is giving a passionate speech for like 4 or 5 minutes in Japanese. And Bill Murray has no clue what is being spoken because he doesn't understand the language, he doesn't understand the culture. So he's just sitting there, and the director is giving some fiery speech. Bill, son, do something, something, something. And Bill is looking at his translator, who's also intently listening. And after this 3-4 minute of speech gets over, Bill Murray looks at the translator and says, "What did he say?" And the translator says, "He said, look at the camera." So Bill Murray is confused. He says that he spoke for like 5 minutes and that's all he meant. Look at the camera. And the interpreter says, "Yes, look at the camera." And he's shocked and he can't handle what's going on. So it's a very hilarious movie, but it captures the culture shock really, really well. Now let's look at why the culture shock happens, besides the normal of language issues and the way people are. The other issue is the terrain of the organization. I think this organization or the culture or the city is in a very different terrain. You are familiar with a different city which had a different terrain. You knew the roads. This is new. So you need to familiarize yourself with this new company, the new roads, the new streets, the new pathways. And to explain this, again, let me take example of a movie and also a famous book. There was this amazing book written by Conan Doyle on Sherlock Holmes called The Hound of Baskervilles. Gritty, chilling movie and a book as well. Scary at times. So there is a family history of the Baskerville Hall, and there is a beast which attacks the heir of this Baskerville Hall and kills them. And it is set in this lovely village called Devonshire, and that village has also got a huge moor which is like wasteland. Nobody goes there. And Sherlock Holmes, when he goes to solve the case, spends few weeks on this moorland all alone. He lives there just to get familiarized what's going on. There are marshes, there are bogs, there are boulders, there are rocks, there are crevices. But he says that if I have to crack this case, I have to understand this setting very well, the terrain. And to me, that is a very important thing that even my dad used to do. My dad and mom were medical researchers, academicians. So every 5 years, we used to shift houses because transferable jobs. And I remember my dad would spend the first week in the new house and the new city just walking around the place. He would know every street, every nook and corner. He would know sabzi kahan milti hai, carpenter kahan hai, electrician kahan hai. He would even talk to people, get to know what's going on, and he would get familiarized with the terrain. I have picked it up as well. And how it translates to you who's changing a job from A to B is get to know the terrain of your organization. Go and meet everyone. Right now, we're in a pandemic, so I understand it's going to be tough. But I'm now beginning to see that offices are opening up. So I hope you go to an office at least 2-3 days a week. Don't just sit in your room or in your office and do work. I think unlearn that first of all. This company has survived without you, is making ton of money without you. A few days of you trying to learn the company's culture is not going to collapse the company. Neither it will collapse your career. In fact, it is very good for you. So please walk around, meet people, know the terrain, know how people talk and operate. Meet your boss. Spend all the time you can with your boss. Meet all your colleagues. They will welcome you because you're new and you can spend time with them. Ask them questions like what do they do, what do they read, how do they do their work, what are the tips and suggestions they have for you. Read about this company and the sector. Look at the history of this industry. Let's say that you have joined this company which is into logistics. Read everything about the sector of logistics, the books, the podcasts, and get familiarized with the terrain. Observe the meetings, see how people talk, how do decisions happen, are they dictatorial or are they democratic? Speak up a few things to add value, but don't try and impress them. Learn, absorb, and get to know the terrain because that is very important for you to mitigate the culture shock when you go into this place. So let me summarize my suggestions to you. First of all, please don't try and impress people. I think delete that. You will burn out. You can't live your life by impressing people. I understand that you are going to a new company and you'll have to find your way to be accepted. But here is my request to you. If this company didn't like you, they wouldn't have given you offer. So you are already accepted. Now, what you're going through is that you are going through a phase where you are unfamiliar with the new terrain. It's a culture shock that you're going through. So, in that phase, please give yourself time to know the terrain, meet people, connect with them, learn the ropes of the trade, get to absorb everything you can about the industry. Give this a few weeks to a month or two, and then time will teach you a lesson on what to do to feel accepted. Be patient. You know, I remember I was in Qualcomm, and in one of the meetings, I was trying to throw my weight around because I thought I was God's gift to mankind. I had done so much at Intel. So I was really trying to give some suggestions. We should do this, we should do that. I think we should bring this new idea, we should bring this new product. I was really arrogant and I was very bad. So after that meeting, one of my colleagues, a very sweet guy who I'm in touch with even till now, takes me to a side and says that Rakesh, this company has made $16 billion without you. And that gave me a perspective that, I was unnecessarily trying to think that I'm going to now take this company from $16 billion to $32 billion just by myself. It won't happen. So what I think he helped me understand was that, hey, your work at Intel is different, but the work at Qualcomm is different. So learn to understand how Qualcomm operates, which is a lot more collaborative. And that's where I understood the power of absorbing the new culture. And that's how this person and all my friends helped me absorb that culture. The same thing happened when I left the corporate world and I went to academia. When you are in an academic world, my God, there cannot be a bigger culture shock than that. I thought I knew everything from the corporate world and I will now tell these academicians what to do. And guess what? These academicians have been producing great students without me. So it's a very humbling process. So go through the humbling process. You have been given an offer, that means you have something and they like you. But please learn to unlearn, let go of your baggages. Please absorb the new terrain, get to know how they work, get to know people, and enjoy this journey of living in a new city. Enjoy the culture, enjoy the people, add value, let it absorb you and take it in your folds. And in that, I have a feeling that you'll have a long, good career that will await you. Stay safe.